Can you imagine being so out of control with your eating that you get fired from your job for eating too much? Well, I have a story to share with you today, and it's real. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. Today is episode number 558. The topic, when you get fired from your job for eating too much. Hello, welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. My name is JoLynn Braley. I am the permanent weight loss coach and weight loss mindset expert who founded my powerful, proven, proprietary step-by-step system, the Inner Self Diet. Since 2009, I have been coaching smart, successful women and a few cool men through my proven steps to struggle-free weight loss in 8 weeks or less. What is struggle-free weight loss? That is weight loss where you're not sabotaging yourself, you're not struggling with emotional eating, you're not struggling with binge eating, you're not cheating on yourself, you're not getting in your own way, and you're just able to live a healthy lifestyle. And then over time, you drop the weight because it takes time to get to your goal weight. When you have the right mindset, though, you're not impatient, you're not frustrated, you're not hating every moment and just waiting to get to the end so that you can go to McDonald's. That is not going to get you the results that you actually want, because then you just end up gaining all the weight back, and that's what you've always done before, right? So what I do with my coaching clients is we heal the root of the problem. You have to get to why is it that you're eating so much? Why is it that you sabotage yourself so much? Why do you have such a problem with emotional eating and binge eating and using food as a crutch to get through your day-to-day life? So that is what I do with my awesome coaching clients. And before we get done today, I will share with you a first step if you really are serious about breaking free yourself. But what we're going to do before we get to that is talk about this subject of when you get fired from your job because you ate too much. This is a real story that I have to share with you. Before I share this with you, make sure that you go get my free cheat sheet. You can download it right now. All you have to do is enter your first name and email address. It's totally free, and we don't share your information with anyone else. This is just a free download for you, and you can get it at www.easyfunweightloss.com. That's www.easyfunweightloss.com. All right, so this story of eating too much and getting fired from your job. This is a story that was told to me by somebody that I know, and this person that I know, this is her friend. So let's just call this woman Jane, like Jane Doe. And that's not actually her name, but for the sake of telling the story, it'll make it easier to give her a name, and then I can tell you the story. Okay, so here is the story. Jane got her real estate license, and she got a job working in a real estate office. She wasn't actually selling houses yet. She was kind of like the junior employee in the office, and she got a job answering the phones. And I think that her goal was, from what I was told, her goal was to get into selling houses and showing them and, making real sales. But in the meantime, she had the job of the receptionist. Now, if you've ever sold your house, or if you've ever gone to an open house, or you've ever, presented an open house, if you know anything about open houses, a lot of the time, real estate agents will bring food for all the people who come. It's kind of like a little party in a way. And so they want to, give people something to eat. What's really neat is if they bake Tall House cookies in the oven so that the whole house smells like that. Now, obviously, if you have an addiction to sugar, that's not going to be very helpful. And Tall House cookies are not something that are part of eating clean, okay? But this is something that real estate agents will do. They'll bake chocolate chip cookies in the oven, to make the house smell inviting to the prospective buyers who come in and tour the home. And hey, we don't know who these potential buyers are. Maybe they don't have any problems with overeating. Maybe they have a thin brain. If you listen to episode number 554, the JoLynn Braley Show, you know what I'm talking about. And if they have a thin brain, they can eat just one cookie. Okay? So you have to know yourself and you have to know your limits and where you're at. If you have a sugar addiction, you're not going to want to eat any cookies because then that will send you off in a direction of possibly binging on a bunch of cookies because you're addicted to the sugar. But there are people out there who do have a thin brain and they can eat just one cookie. In fact, one of my coaching clients from several years ago, her name is Holly, and you can look up her story. You can hear her talk about it, hear her audio interview that I did with her. And I think that you can find her story by just searching in my podcast for her name, Holly. But she used to struggle with binge eating for over 30 years. It was either 30 or 35 years. And by doing my proven steps in the Inner Self diet, she broke free, and then I remember her telling me that she was able to eat just one cookie. So when you heal the root of your out-of-control eating and you get a weight loss mindset, you do the Inner Self diet, you change from a fat brain thinker to a thin brain thinker, and you might be able to get to that place where you can have just one cookie like Holly. But you have to know yourself, because if you do have an addiction to sugar, you're probably not going to want to eat a cookie. Does that make any sense? But back to the story, because Jane in our story did not have a thin brain, which you're going to hear here in just a second. So the real estate company where she had the job as a receptionist, they weren't necessarily baking Tall House cookies in the oven of the house where they'd have the open house. Instead, what they did is they would buy baked goods and they would have them there in the office so that the realtors would have something to take with them to their open houses. These were not baked goods that were for the break room. They weren't for the employees. They weren't supposed to be eaten. They were just there, ready to go, because open houses are scheduled, and the realtors would come in and then get their plates or whatever it was that they were going to take to their open house, and they would take the baked goods with them and then set them up and have little paper plates or whatever they did to get prepared for all of the people who would come in and look at the house. And then the people who would come in and look at the house, they'd have their little things that they could eat if they wanted to. All right, so the problem was that Jane was so out of control with her eating, and she did not have a thin brain. She did not have a weight loss mindset. She had, again, go ahead and listen to episode 557 of the JoLynn Braley Show to hear more about the fat brain versus the thin brain. But when you have a fat brain, you think in a way that leads to your decisions that you make to eat the way you do, and then your body will show, you're going to be overweight because of how you're eating. And I've been there before. I totally understand it. But the way out is to transform from the inside out, which is why I call my proven powerful program the Inner Self Diet. Because if you get thin on the inside, then you will eat in a way that you will lose the weight on the outside. You'll make different decisions. You'll think in a different way. You'll feel differently. You won't hate changing your eating. You will be in alignment with living a healthy lifestyle. And when you are in alignment with living a healthy lifestyle, there's no more struggle. There's no more fight. You're not sitting there fighting against yourself and fighting against your cravings, emotional or otherwise. And it's just not a big deal anymore to live healthy and fit. That is, if you transform from the inside out, which is what I do with my weight loss coaching clients in the Inner Self Diet. So Jane had not ever done anything like that, and she ate all of the baked goods that were for the open houses. So can you imagine being so out of control with your eating that you go to your job and there is food there that is not supposed to be eaten? It's for the open houses. It's not for you. It's not for anybody in the office. It's there for the realtors to take to the house that they're trying to sell. And you're so out of control with your eating that you eat all of it. They gave her a warning. They said, you can't do that. That food is for the open houses. You're not supposed to be eating it. Please stop. Well, she didn't listen. And maybe right now, as you're listening to me tell you this story, maybe you are so out of control with your eating that you can relate. Because when you binge eat out of control and try to eat the world, or at least eat your whole kitchen, or go to the grocery store to get more food to eat and eat as much of it as you can before your stomach hurts so bad that you have to stop, but then you wait a couple hours and then you eat more. If you can relate to that out of control binge eating or compulsive overeating or mindless out of control eating, just totally unconscious, you might not even be aware of what you're thinking and the decisions that you're making that are driving your out of control eating. So if you're out of control with your eating right now, maybe you can understand Jane, but can you imagine how embarrassing that would be to eat all that food that you're not supposed to, get a warning, and then do it again? And I guess that she did it 3 times and then they fired her. So she didn't last very long because she wasn't supposed to be eating all of those baked goods. Those were for the business. That real estate company probably used the business bank account to buy that food. So that was lost money for that company. Who knows how much they spent, how much they had to spend to buy that food for those open houses. If it was I don't know how successful this company was and how many houses, how many open houses they had each weekend. But let's say that there were even only 5 open houses for the whole company. And let's say that they bought 2 boxes of cookies for each of those open houses. So that's 10 boxes of cookies. And they, buying them from a bakery, you're not going to buy a package of Oreos for an open house where you're trying to sell a house. You're not going to put Oreos out. You want to offer them oatmeal raisin or chocolate chip or sugar cookies. You want to offer them something nicer than just an Oreo cookie. So my point is that they were spending money to buy all of these baked goods for these open houses, and Jane wasn't supposed to be eating any of it, but she did. She ate all of it. All of it. I mean, that's a lot. Even if you were to eat just one whole package of cookies that were bought from a bakery, I mean, there's going to be at least 12 cookies in a bakery package of cookies, you know. I'm just thinking of the grocery store bakery and what they have there. But she ate everything. She ate everything. And then they told her to stop. And then the next day they brought more in, and she ate all that. She did it 3 times, and then they fired her. She was supposed to be doing her job of answering the phones and setting appointments. She wasn't supposed to be eating all the baked goods. So what do you think of this? Being so out of control with your eating that you actually get fired from your job. But hey, what is the state of your overeating right now? How out of control are you? Maybe you haven't been fired from your job because of it, but aren't you being fired from your dream? Aren't you firing yourself from your dream because of how you're eating? If you have a dream of getting to your goal weight and looking your best in your jeans, aren't you sabotaging yourself with your eating right now, even though you don't want to? You would rather lose the weight, but you can't stop eating. So what is really different between you and Jane? She didn't want to lose her job. She wanted to do the job, but she couldn't stop eating. You don't want to be fat. You don't want to be overweight. You don't want to be obese, but you can't stop eating. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? What will you do? What is going to change if you just keep doing what you've always done? You know, if it were as simple as just doing another food diet, then why would you be listening to me talk right now? If there was no emotional component to your out of control eating, if there was no mental component to it, if there was nothing except just the mechanics of a food diet, then you wouldn't need help with anything, right? You wouldn't need to make any changes. All you'd have to do is just follow the food diet. So why not do it? Well, when you haven't gone to the root of the problem and you have not healed the why that causes you to be out of control with your eating, when you do another food diet, that is a recipe, and it might even contain recipes, food recipes, but a food diet is a recipe for how to eat in a healthier way, if it's a healthy eating plan. But what does that food diet do to address why you can't stick with it, and why you emotionally eat, and why you binge eat? How does that food diet fix the real problems? Because you see, your overweight or obesity, the fat on your body, that is a symptom of the real problem. Your overweight is the result of the real problem. And the real problem isn't even your eating. The real problem is why you make the decisions to eat in the way you do. And the really, really, really biggest, trickiest, biggest part of all of this is you're probably unconscious of the whole mental process that goes by in the blink of an eye. And so you think that you need to do a food diet to fix this, but how many food diets have you done? And where are you at now? Have you ever heard Einstein's definition of insanity? That is doing the same thing over and over and over again while expecting a different result. So, how insane is it to keep thinking that a food diet will fix your overweight when it never has? And sure, you might say, well, it's fixed it because I've lost weight. Okay, then what's the problem? Why did you gain it back? Oh, well, I stopped doing it. Okay, but why? If you never get to the root of the issue, you will continue to be a cash cow for the mainstream diet industry. And if you're okay with that, that's awesome. But if you actually want to break free and you want to lose weight for good, then you've got to heal the root of this stuff. If you would love to do that and you don't want to be out of control with your eating anymore, you don't want to be an unconscious binge eater anymore, then I invite you to apply for a complimentary binge breakthrough session with me. You can apply now at www.bbsession.com. That's B as in binge, B as in breakthrough, session.com. www.bbsession.com. This is a complimentary binge breakthrough session, which is only for you if you really are serious about getting to the root of this and healing it once and for all. If you would love to stop wondering, why is it that you know exactly what you need to do to lose weight, but you're not doing it? Why is it that you're so smart and you're so successful in your life, except for this one area, except when it comes to your eating and your weight? And it seems like it should be such a simple thing, right? It seems like it should be no big deal, but it's the hardest thing that you've ever done, even though you have all of this other success in your life. If you want to stop struggling, go apply now at www.bbsession.com. The spots for these complimentary binge breakthrough sessions with me are extremely limited. I can only speak with at most 2 people a week. So these are first come, first serve. You need to fill out an application because it is complimentary. I can't just get on the phone with everybody just to say hi when they really aren't serious about healing their binge eating for good. Don't be like Jane. I would hope that you would never lose your job because you ate too much. But she did. And she never got it back. And I'm sorry to say that she's quite obese today. So she's never done the inner work to heal the root of her out of control binge eating. But that's a choice that everybody has to make for themselves. Everybody has free will. If you want to break free, you can. You have to get help to do it because none of us can see our own blind spots. And especially if you want to break free fast. My clients get there in 8 weeks or less. I've had inner self diet coaching clients tell me over and over and over again that they never could have done it without my help. We just don't know what we don't know when we are stuck in that struggle. I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that you need if you honestly and sincerely want to break free once and for all. I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body.